Line Mind Body. This is your space to reconnect with yourself, mind, body, and breath. Together we'll explore gentle exercises, intentional movement, and mindful practices that are easy for everyone to follow. Each move and breath we take will be rooted in science, helping you feel stronger, calmer, and more present in your daily life. To book a consultation appointment or for more information, contact me at 954-261-4719 or support@thevaulttraining.online. Let's start this journey toward balance and alignment.
Hello, and welcome back to the Aligned Mind Body Show. Today, I have an incredible guest, and I'm very honored to be here with Lyonel, who is a true master in biomechanics. He is a very high-level instructor, and he's actually a mentor to me too, because we practice a lot of the same philosophy and the same concept when it comes to movement and pain-free movement for everyone of all ages. And he's someone that has managed to be able to deliver this style of training to everybody of all ages to help them move better pain-free. So I'm very excited. And yeah, go ahead, introduce yourself a little bit. Tell me just a little bit.
Sure.
My name,
Well, how do I introduce myself and say a little bit?
Cool.
Well,
So what is this style of your LyonStrong Method? You sent me your bio today.
This has been like really, really interesting. This has literally been 40 plus years in the making. When I first started with movement and understanding my body, what I was learning, I was fortunate enough to have learned from someone that didn't believe in the same thing that everybody else did.
Mm-hmm.
And so my first exposure to fitness, I'm 16 years old, I just graduated high school, I'm a whopping 118 pounds, big guy, right, just massive, you know, and I really was getting tired of getting picked on as a kid, and my whole thinking was, if I can get as big as I see those guys in the magazines, no one will mess with me, everyone will leave me alone, I can actually live a normal life. That was my motivation. I had nothing else driving me except for that. So I go start in this gym where I'm trying to learn what to do. Mind you, I don't know really anything except whatever I see in posters, right? So I remember signing up for this gym, and I go in there and I'm working my butt off as hard as I could, doing everything that I knew how to do, which was pretty much nothing. But I did it with fervor, right?
Yeah, desire to move.
What was so cool about that is the next day when I showed up, the owner, and I didn't know the guy was the owner, stopped me. Now, mind you, this guy was a little bit shorter than I was, and he was massive. He literally would not walk through a normal door unless he turned sideways to be able to fit in, right? He was just huge, just jacked. And I'm seeing this guy, and I'm like, oh, you know? And he stopped me, and he asked me, like, hey, I saw you training yesterday, and you were, like, determined. I don't see that kind of determination in most people. The only other person that comes here that trains this hard is a professional bodybuilder. So what's your motivation? And I'm like, wait, are you messing with me? Because you can't really be asking me
What a deep
this,
question, right?
Right, because, and the way I took it, which was interesting, because, you know, being small and being picked on all the time, right, I was always used to people when they're saying something to me, not coming from a place of something good or positive.
Right.
So I'm automatically on the defensive when he asked me that. Like, wait, what do you mean? Like, don't you see what I look like? He goes, yeah, I see what you look like. I'm like, so why would you ask me that question? Because I want to know. And I was like, oh, like you really want to know.
What a teacher. What a
And that was my first lesson when I didn't even know that was a lesson, right? And his whole point was, I don't know you. I don't know what motivates you. I want to actually understand why you're trying to do what you're doing. And I told him I didn't want to be a skinny kid. I didn't want to be that. And I want to be able to get as big as he was. And what he said to me completely changed my path and literally put me on where I am now.
Cool.
And what he said was, no, you do not want to look like me. And now I'm confused. Wait, you're in a gym, you're a big dude, you're whatever, and literally everything you have here is geared towards people getting to that, and you tell me that's not what I want, I'm lost. What am I supposed to, what are you saying exactly? He goes, this is for show. Said, you don't want this. If you're going to put the time and effort to build muscle, you want to make sure that you function properly and you can use your body the way it was meant to.
Wow.
Wait,
You're
wait,
like,
what? This is like 1985.
right?
Okay, I'm dating myself here. Um, and I'm having someone tell me this. I'm like, wait, what? That doesn't make any sense because no
Yeah.
one talks like this. No one says anything like that.
Yeah.
And he goes on to say that, look, I see this all the time. I chose this path because I wanted to be a professional bodybuilder.
Yeah.
But this is not fitness.
This is not fitness. This is not like
This is
real
not
strength.
healthy. This
you
is
know?
not strength.
Yeah.
Said I may look good, but I can't do anything with
Right.
this. Said there was a time when I had abilities to move in ways that were unbelievable. I lost a lot of that because I shifted my focus from what was important to what I thought I wanted.
Wow, how impactful. Because I mean,
Yeah.
that's really.
And that was the rest. That just changed everything. So he took me on and he trained me. And one of the things that was interesting, even though I went to a gym, I never got to use any of the machines or touch any of the equipment like most people did. What this guy did was taught me how to use my body, how to actually move
Right,
the correct
move.
way, how to understand what muscles are supposed to do what and why, and really just move differently.
Wow.
And what was interesting is I'm like, well, how am I going to get big? How am I going to put on size? How am I going to get muscles if I'm not lifting any weights and doing any of those things? Fast forward 3 months later, everyone on my block is coming to me asking, what are you doing? Whatever it is, I want you to show me.
Nice, yeah.
Because I look so different. I put on so much size. I was just starting to look
Feeling
like
good
this
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was super interesting because this in a short time frame, I went from 118 pounds to 132 pounds.
That's great. Yeah, that's great.
Which was
And
huge
muscle
for
mass.
me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, for someone training.
You're
Yeah.
talking about a guy that literally was trying for years and years
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
years, and I couldn't get anything to happen.
Absolutely.
But I learned so much, and I was just so voracious about understanding what he was doing and why. So I asked questions and I asked questions, and he never got upset about the fact that I was asking questions. He always answered everything. He always made me understand why he was doing what he was doing with me, which was a great thing because now on the block, all my friends are asking me to help them.
You're spreading the word
So
of movement.
I literally started doing what I was learning. So now I'm teaching them what to do, but I'm not just telling them do this because I say so. I'm explaining to them the benefits of it and what they're going to get and why,
Exactly.
which changed everything.
Yes.
So all of a sudden now people are coming to me like I'm an authority when it comes to movement and stuff and whatever, and I'm learning myself. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll teach you what I know.
Yeah.
So I was now really eager now because I had people that wanted to learn my stuff, right? So I had to keep learning stuff in order to be able to teach
keep
them.
teaching, absolutely.
And it just kept, and I kept that love. And fast forward 40-something years later, here I am.
How
just
incredible, yes. And
doing
then
this all over again.
your concept, your belief in movement. Explain it a little bit better. You know, like just for us
Well,
as humans,
yeah.
why it's so like
Such an
impactful.
important thing, right?
Yes.
So we don't pay attention to how we move. We just move. We just do what we do. I mean, think about it. Most people, when they're walking, they don't actually think about what they're doing when they walk. They just simply take a step forward and just go, right? They're minding whatever else. They're looking at their phones. They're paying attention to someone. They're having conversations, etc. They have absolutely no idea what things are happening, what the mechanics in their
moving.
bodies are while they're moving. The only time people usually pay attention to any of that is if there's something wrong.
If they're in pain,
Yeah,
if there's
they're
an
in pain,
alarm
exactly.
going off.
There's
yeah.
something wrong, right? And they have, for example, I meet a lot of people that have knee issues, right? They have knee pain and they have different things that are happening. So when they're walking and walking is causing them pain, they pay attention.
Yeah.
They either stop working or try to figure
Yeah.
out what they're doing different and why it's happening. But usually most people have no idea how to correct what's happening with them because
They're
no one around them is
is
talking
teaching
about
them
it.
how
no
to
one
move
around
their
them is saying,
machine.
pay attention to what you do and be aware of your body mechanics and be aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you're doing it. So they just go.
Yeah, they just go about kind
And they
of.
don't ever think and they don't ever believe that what's causing their pain is the little things that they do every single day.
Exactly.
They're thinking, oh, I did something wrong when I did this thing, or it was this exercise that caused it, or it was
Or I'm
a
not
fluke
doing this,
whatever.
or,
yeah.
you know.
So they're thinking all kinds of different things, but never associating what's happening in their bodies to what they do on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
And so it's important for me when I'm talking and working with people to help them, number one, realize that every single thing they do has an impact, either good or bad, on what they're doing. And it's not a good or bad thing, it just is.
It is, yeah.
Right?
It's a
So
response
once they
to what's
accept
happening.
that and they realize that, oh, okay, now they start becoming aware of what their body's doing. So what becomes super interesting is when they do something incorrectly, they know it immediately because they know what the
Right.
feedback
They're
is.
heightening their awareness of just
Yes.
existence in space
Which is
here and moving.
huge because that's one of the
Yes.
first things that helps make the change that they need, right,
Yes.
to become like completely pain free.
Yes.
So once they have that awareness, now the next thing is learning what to do to correct it and how to adjust what
Exactly.
they're doing to help reconnect other muscles that aren't working so that they can function. You know, interesting thing, and I know you know this, right? Because we've talked about this extensively.
Yes.
One of the great things, you know, about the body is that we have so many muscles in our bodies, but most people aren't aware of that. When I
Yes.
ask people that question about how many muscles they think there are, most people think somewhere around 100, 150.
Yeah,
maybe.
large muscles. They don't think of all the deep stabilizers that
exactly.
control your movement.
Exactly. They're not aware that
And
there's
yeah.
over 650 muscles in their bodies, right? That the
Yes.
majority of them, unfortunately, are not using.
Yep. Yep.
And so if the average person is using 100, 150 muscles a day, what's going on with the other 500?
Yeah, they're unaware and they're not moving efficiently
Bingo.
through life. So it's more wear and tear that occurs over time.
Bingo.
You know, and those stabilizers are so important because there are receptors there that send proprioceptive awareness around the joints.
Exactly.
It connects to the
Exactly.
brain.
Connects to the
and
brain and lets
yes,
them know how to
absolutely.
adjust what's going on so that the body doesn't experience the
If
issues.
it's not there, they're like non-existent.
Right.
They're just not. I don't know what's going on with
You
their
know,
movements.
What's so funny is that when people are in pain, they don't understand that pain is a signal that their body's telling them that something is off. Fix it.
Yes. Like picking up a shoe becomes complicated, but to get there already, you've lost a lot of stabilization, a lot of proprioception,
Right.
a lot of awareness. And
Right.
you're just,
So the thing is, my whole approach, right, is if I can help you gain that back,
Right.
if I can help you, number one, gain the awareness, but number two, learn to turn on all the other muscles you weren't using
Right.
and get familiar and aware of that, you're not going to be in pain anymore.
absolutely.
Not only are you not going to get out of pain now, but you're never going to go back there
into
again.
pain. Yeah, so this is my next question too, because I believe in this a lot. I believe if we are originally in our more organic ancestral ways, we
Yeah.
were moving efficiently and
Yes.
gardening and bending over in these ways that were very
Yes.
mechanically strong. So I always tell people, like, you know, it's not about running and getting to the gym. You can actually get, you know, a life workout by moving strongly, doing your daily activities and your
Absolutely.
chores.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
No, so it's so interesting that you say this, right? Because part of what I do, so you know, there's the gym that I work in, and I teach people specifically one-on-one there with what we do, and you know, we have other methods there as well. But I do a lot of remote work with clients, right? And so when I'm working with people in other parts, especially if they've never been to a gym before and they've never done that, the first thing that they try to tell me is, "Well, I don't have any gym equipment. Why do I need to buy?" And my response is, you don't really need anything. If you have a bottle of water or a gallon of water around you,
Exactly.
you have all the equipment you need to be able to get started. and
Originally,
do
we were
stuff.
doing that, carrying
And-
like
right, right. And so they're like, "Wait, what? I don't
walking
get
on
it."
uneven surfaces.
And so as we go through and we progress with everything, they realize that what we're doing isn't necessarily coming up with some newfangled ways of doing some crazy exercises.
Yeah.
We're simply teaching them how to actually engage all their muscles when they move.
Yeah.
Regular movements that transfer to everyday life. The biggest thing that people see when they're working with me is that what we're doing in the gym, quote unquote, or in our exercises is literally mimicking what they
the
do
real
in
life
real life.
movement. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not like we're going to do things that are, you know, and I saw this all the time, right? And I used to ask this question, how often do you see this? Where you have these guys that are in the gym every day. They're super strong. They can lift hundreds of pounds. They can do all these different things. And then they get in the car trying to reach in the back seat to grab something and throw out their bag. Or they're picking up something from the floor and just they get locked up or something to that effect.
Yes.
And it's like, wait, what? Or they're walking up and down the stairs and then their knee goes out.
Right?
You know,
doing
like
nothing.
little things,
Basic, like doing a life,
basic stuff.
right?
movement.
You
Yeah.
know?
But these are the guys that are, and when I say guys, I mean guys, gals, right? So it doesn't
True.
matter, it's
Same-
gender
same way,
neutral, right?
yes.
So the thing is, it doesn't matter, you know, who they are. They literally get hurt doing the simple, mundane things. But yet they've spent years exercising.
Working on these bigger muscles, but
Working
not
on-
supporting
Bingo.
their actual structure to keep growing too. Because when it comes to
Bingo.
growth and also like hypertrophy. Like the more stabilized your body is, the more
easier
you
it
can
is.
build safely too.
Yes.
Without pain. Ultimately, if pain is there, it's going to limit your performance.
It's
and
going to completely do
stop
that.
you.
Yeah, and so people sometimes are unaware of that part, right? And I think part of the reason for that is because of the old adage that you hear, no pain, no gain.
Yeah.
That's the biggest bunch
kind
of
of a
crap.
warning flag.
Okay, like, look,
Red
that to
flag.
me is and I've done a thing about this, and I've talked about that, and I'm
Yeah.
very vocal
We
on that
talk
one,
a lot
right?
about
Because
this.
and I'm not nice in the way that I say it either, right? That's the biggest bunch of crap that I've ever heard.
Yes, it's
Because
true.
pain is literally your body telling you something is wrong, fix it.
There's things crashing, it's not working, it's not functioning,
Yeah.
it's misfiring.
Yeah.
So
But this no pain, no gain mentality, because
No,
you got to
not
push
anymore.
through it, and you got to man up, and you got to whatever. That's just the stupidest thing
yeah,
ever.
yeah. I see it a lot
Listen
too.
to your body, learn, adapt, and you can grow so much
Yes.
better, so much faster, so much easier.
I see that a lot in a
Yeah.
lot of trades of movement too. You see it in bodybuilding, you see it in more
Yes.
fitness. I see it also in sometimes yoga, which is supposed to be like healing, where they push themselves, where there's like
I'm so
spinal.
glad you're saying it, right? Because I don't have
Yes,
to be
where the
the bad guy
yogis
here.
hurt themselves quite a bit, putting themselves in these extreme ranges of motion that they're not ready yet. And there's many ways to stabilize, to strengthen,
Bingo.
to get into these ranges of motions much better. So regardless what style you want to focus on, whether it's bodybuilding, fitness, yoga, working on these important stabilizers, these mechanics, these alignments, these stabilizers is going to make that much more sane. So.
Absolutely, because I get this a lot, right? Where people are like, oh, I train this way, or I like this style, or I like that style. I'm like, great. I don't really care what style you want to do.
You stick to the basics.
You understand? If you learn how to move your body the
Yep.
correct way, I don't care what you do, you're going to get better at it.
Exactly. Yes. Sports
So
performance.
you can
whatnot.
choose to do anything you want to do. I'm never going to be one
Important.
to limit people on what they can do. I mean, who am I to determine, like what you're seriously? And I see this, right? Because I think there's a lot of people in this fitness space that think themselves as some kind of gods or gurus or whatever, where they want to literally tell people that whatever you're doing is
Yeah,
crap. You got to follow
When
my
I worked
way
in
because that's the
sports
only way.
sports chiropractic, I saw it a lot. Like I saw a lot of the influencers, and I saw a lot of the yogis, and I saw a lot of these other trainers, personal trainers, that were so injured. It was like, all right, guys, you got to get it together. Like that was not my style of practice.
Right.
Like I always focused on the biomechanics, the alignment, the movement, and the stabilization. But I was like, you guys are like skipping a step. It's a big step. All right.
Huge step,
So,
right?
like,
Well, you know what it is,
injured.
right?
You see them in the
That
clinics.
part of it is not
hurt.
the sexy stuff. That's part of it is not the things that you can actually
Right?
put on
It's the
Instagram
boring
and
stuff.
whatever, right?
I'm
Because if
sorry.
you're gonna go make a video of that stuff and you put it out there, no one's gonna watch it because there's nothing
So
exciting
you
about what
improve
you're
your
doing.
balance.
Right, so no one wants to do those things. No one wants to pay attention to them. No one realizes how important they are until
Exactly.
something goes wrong.
And then
Then
they're
all of
paying
a sudden they're
attention.
like, oh, well, and one of the things that I see also is even when something goes wrong, a lot of times they're looking for a band-aid. They're not looking for the solution.
The solution, which is the hard work, which is the little
Right.
work. You gotta earn it.
Yeah.
Pretty much you gotta earn it.
So they're trying to find, oh, how do I fix this thing here? It's not just this thing. The reason why this thing is broken is
Many
because
other
the
things.
entire chain is messed up. So we need to fix every little thing, and that's going to take care of
It's quite
itself. you know?
humbling too. It's quite humbling, which is good. You get to learn and deconstruct what's going on
Yeah.
with the mechanics. You get to relearn your patterns and do things better.
Yeah,
moving
which
forward.
is
So-
fantastic because one of the beautiful things of doing it this way is that it doesn't matter the age, it doesn't matter your experience, it doesn't matter your expertise, it doesn't matter whether you've trained before or done anything. If you're capable of standing up and taking 2 or 3 steps forward, you can actually do any of this. Obviously, there's
Absolutely.
different levels to what you can and
And
can't do,
progressions, yeah,
and
but-
progressions and all, but you can start and you can do some things and you can strengthen your body and you can actually turn on muscles that have been dormant for
Absolutely.
God knows how many years
Absolutely.
to actually activate, work, and do what your body was designed to do. What's so beautiful for me is when I'm looking at people that are in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and seeing their abilities
so
to do
good.
things. And people looking at them like, wait, they can't be that old. They can't, not doing what they're doing. They can't be that strong. They can't move that well because that's not what the norm looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. So as a movement mechanic expert, just how do you feel about technology and how far it's gotten and how it's affected our movements?
And good and bad, right? I love technology and what it can do for us. I hate
Yes.
technology because of what it's done to us.
Right? Yeah.
So most people have gotten to the point where they're waiting or they're hoping that something else is going to take care of what they need to so that they can perform better.
But it's not that way.
And
Yeah.
it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a big proponent of utilizing technology to go forward and go more and do more.
Yeah.
But use it to work with you or
With
help you, not work for you.
Yeah,
And
like
that's where a lot of people are
technology
going
that
wrong
helps
in that
with
sense,
tracking
you know?
health, with fitness equipment that's low
Correct.
impact. I have a friend that just got this, I think it's called AMP, and it's a new AI high-low pulley that you can adjust, and it's just so smooth. Like it's the first time I get on, but you can tell like, okay, this is from the comfort of my home. They made it functional. I can install it. It's minimal, and I can get like a nice high-low pulley action of a full body workout.
Right.
So and technology can help us, but it can also break us down because we move so much less. Like
Right.
now we just find an
Sit.
excuse to sit a lot and not move, and
Yeah.
all ages in the population, because I
Right.
even have my seniors that don't want, they're sometimes very guilty of staying and not moving.
Yeah.
And also even like the end spectrum young
The
that are
young ones.
much more, that are moving much less, and on the tablet much more.
Right, yeah. No, there's a huge epidemic going on right now, right? When it comes to the young ones, looking at what's happening, childhood obesity is at like an all-time high. I mean, more than 40% of
A lot
kids
of them
are
are suffering
literally,
from neck pain also
yes,
too. Adults
because of the
style
fact
neck
that they're
pain.
literally
Yeah.
sitting like this on a damn tablet or
Yes.
whatever, and
Yes.
they haven't learned how to move. They don't have any activities that they're doing. And one of the things that I hear a lot from parents is that, well, my kids they don't play sports or they don't like sports.
I know,
Okay.
but think about it. Like I've been recently researching about the fascia intelligence
Right.
and how movement and kinesthetic intelligence develops emotional
Bingo.
intelligence. So if they're not moving, they're not
Bingo.
connected. So they're not emotionally
Exactly.
developing.
They're not connecting in so many different ways, right?
Like, I understand they wanna move,
So
but-
it's interesting that you bring up the word fascia because there's so much about that so few people really know and understand. But there's been so much research that's been done into what the fascia does and how important it is and what really is going on in our bodies. And I always say this, and it's funny because people always say, well, there's only X number of muscles in the body. I'm like, well, there's actually one more.
a lot of-
Really, instead of having 650 muscles, quote unquote, in your body, there's really one.
There's a whole
with
system that's
650
so like the fascial system is just like an
Right.
organism itself.
Because
it's a
it
whole
connects
organism.
into everything, not just muscles, bone,
nerve
every tissue in your
endings,
body,
yeah.
nerve endings, so on, right? I mean, it's literally what makes everything happen in our bodies. And most of us don't realize how important it is and understanding
move,
how
too.
to utilize that to make you move better. So
Yes.
that's been something that I've spent years working
And I-
on,
and I
learning,
had,
and trying to really get better at actually helping people understand the
The
benefits
movements
and
of
what
movements,
and how
yeah.
it really helps with everything that you do.
I was also discussing this with a group yesterday, like a networking group, and they were discussing like clients when they're very angry and they're not feeling well. But I told them sometimes we need to understand that we're put under a lot of tension and stress
Right.
through modern day technology,
Correct.
stressors. We don't move, so it's expected for the human to not feel well. Like their tissues are tense, their responses are tense. So sometimes the interactions can be, but that's where we work so much and explaining people these
Right.
things because it helps to bring them into a safe
Right,
space.
right.
Understanding if they move their body, they'll find that freedom, they'll find that wellness,
Yeah.
they'll reconnect to their awareness. And moving that tissue and that fascia, I believe, creates that emotional intelligence and that concept.
Absolutely does.
That's the more
what's-
angry we are.
Yeah, what's so interesting about that, right, is that people come for one thing. What they get is
Oh, no,
completely
it's like they come out and they're like,
right? Because it's kind of like even though we don't quote unquote do any kind of psychology work, everything that we do is literally
just
like
a
helping the
process.
mind
I think
improves and
also in
the emotions and
biomechanics,
everything else,
We're
right?
the first barrier, like to getting into more of that emotional aspect and more of that stress
Absolutely.
release. We're like the first. And then after you move the body and you kind of soothe and you teach
Right.
it to learn, then you can get into more deeper emotional stuff from the person. But unless their body's moving and they're connecting to it,
Right. They can't get to it. They can't
ask
access
them
it.
to be less emotional about something.
Right.
They're stuck in many ways at a physical
Exactly.
level.
So therefore, they won't ever really be able to access all these other
Yes.
levels and all these other things that can
even
help
at
them
an
improve,
emotional, spiritual, even sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, the movement. Now, you understand concept, the human body, how it moves. Now, what is your favorite style of training that you prefer? He's like, you're not gonna ask me about all my certifications. I was
Oh
like, no,
my
I'm gonna ask you
gosh,
what your
no.
style is. Like, what? Like, I know you
Yeah,
have
I
one
get.
that I hope you talk about, because
I get asked that question a million times, right? If there's ever one thing that I would do. So there's a couple of different things. So it's not like there's
one
one
thing.
thing
Yeah,
and
he
one
has
thing
multiple
only.
different styles. He has multiple
Yeah, I
different
mean,
styles.
when you look at all the different modalities in which I train and how I've been able to manage and merge everything together in such a way that's just really
It's like a
nice
good
and
blend.
unique,
Yeah.
right?
You've
So it's not
picked
like
and
there's only
chosen,
just one.
But you've picked and chosen the best, because as a mechanic,
Yes.
especially like a biomechanics master, you pick and choose. Like, you're like, remove this,
Yes,
add this,
yes,
remove it.
yes, yes, yes. And so it's really neat because one of my clients actually helped me understand this in a way. And the way he put it was like, oh, okay, I didn't realize I did that, but yeah, you're right. And he said that I have the ability of being able to see all different type of movements, all different styles, and then figure out, oh yeah, this goes with this, and this is the same as that, and this is the same as that. Where it's clear to me, but to everybody else, it's just kind of a jumbled mess. Like, well, why are we doing this with this? Like, I don't understand it. And then when they do, they're like, oh,
Makes
I get it
sense,
now.
yeah. But
You know,
it's a
so
tailored
that was
way
really
of-
kind of neat, to actually understand that I operate that way. Cool.
Yeah. So you pick and choose.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, so what's my favorite?
What's your favorite?
Jeez.
Come on.
It would have to be a combination of things, right?
Yes.
So if we're talking about tools, there are two
Yes.
tools that I love using. Maces and clubs, obviously, that's one. And I put them, even though they're separate, I put them in the same category
Yeah.
because it teaches you about rotational movement in a very, very unique way. And it
Cool.
really targets literally every muscle in the body, forces you to learn how to engage in ways that you've never done before, and will make you
Absolutely.
better at all that you do. But there are so many different variations and styles
Of it.
and ways of training with it, which makes it super, super awesome and unique.
Nice.
And the other tool that I'm also a big fan of utilizing are kettlebells.
Nice.
Again,
Classic,
same
ancient.
idea behind that, but very different model, right, in terms of what it allows you to do, but really have a huge range and a huge variety of ways where you can actually tap into and develop strength, develop skill set, develop, abilities
Awareness,
to move and
proprioception,
awareness,
like
all that, right, which
grip
is
strength,
great.
everything.
So those two tools are some of my favorites to use. Now, I love dumbbells, I love barbells, I love all the others.
These
There's
are
a
your-
lot of other things, but if I was going to be limited to anything,
Those
it
are
would
your
be
go-tos.
those. Now, I've been asked this once, if I was going to be limited to one thing and one thing only, what would it be? And my answer surprised everyone because they didn't think it was going to be that. And that one tool that I would use, it's called an ARC, and it's made by ADEX Club. They actually happen to be local here, so
Cool.
which is awesome. And what it is, it's an adjustable mace. It's a shorter mace than the norm. So what's great about it is depending on how it's loaded, it can function as either a club or a mace. Or both.
Cool.
And then because of its range and size and weight, capacities and adjustments, it can also function as something completely different than the other two, which is super, super unique. So the amount of variance and things that you can do with that
it.
are
And the free body
unbelievable.
flow, of course.
Exactly.
It's free body flow.
Exactly. So it really happens to help, it's a fantastic tool in that sense. And then any ground-based movements like
Right?
animal flow
Anything
and
flow.
things like that, right? I'm absolutely a big fan
Yeah.
of. So if I can get you on the floor and just to be able to have you just have the ability to just move your body is such an amazing thing. It's such an amazing way to be able to help people
Naturally.
connect
Yeah.
naturally, right, and improve. Because I don't think people really realize this. If you watch a kid move, one of the first things that they have to learn before they get up to start walking and running is to learn to crawl.
You're absolutely right. Look, I didn't
And
even
we
thought
don't
about that.
realize
Think
and
about
understand
that
the
a lot.
importance of crawling when it
And
comes to
kneeling and-
connecting your entire
Cool.
body as one unit and making it work together.
Absolutely.
And so, I'm a big fan of actually teaching people how to utilize these methods in
So
a way
important.
that actually makes them work better,
Incredible. This is an awesome interview.
Thank you.
How can people reach you? Your social, your website.
Okay,
Yeah.
few ways. My website is getlyonstrong.com. That's GETLYONSTRONG.com. My socials, actually, at Get is the same for TikTok, for pretty much all the platforms on YouTube,
Yes.
on Instagram, on Facebook. You can
And
find
you
me there.
serve virtually and in person?
Yes.
So virtual is anybody anywhere can
Anybody, anywhere.
set a session up with him.
Absolutely.
And then locally, where are you based?
Locally, my gym is in Miami. It's at 4600 Southwest 71st Avenue in Suite 104. So anyone can actually come in and visit
Yeah,
with and learn.
I've
and
been to his
understand.
place. It's
Yeah.
awesome. His staff is incredible, awesome
Yeah.
instructor, master instructor, many certifications, much knowledge, incredible staff and team too that he
Thank
surrounds
you.
himself with. So that's so important also. So thank you, Lyonel.
Oh no,
It was
thank
awesome
you.
having you.
Thank you very much for having me. I enjoyed this very much.
And then I'll see you guys on the next one.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you for joining Align Mind Body today. I hope you're feeling a little more connected, centered, and aware of how your body moves and breathes. Remember, it's not about perfection. It's about progress and mindfulness in each moment. To book a consultation, appointment, or for more information, contact me at 954-261-4719 or support@thevaulttraining.online. Be kind to yourself, stay intentional, and I'll see you next time as we continue this journey toward alignment and wellness.